Welcome to the Verdin Sports Show. I'm your host, Jacob Verdin. I hope everybody's having a good morning. Got more practice highlights for you. Going to talk about all the notes, all the coverage, all the breakdowns that we had from this morning. Let's start it off with the quarterback throwing. Everybody loves to be the quarterback guru and put on their guru cap, look at the throw motions, try to break them down, put it here together for you. Got Michael Van Buren, got Garrett Nussmeier, and a little bit you'll have Juwan Johnson. I'm not really too uber critical on Juwan or on Michael at this point. I mean, in Juwan's instance, he's just now getting to be a quarterback after being a DB, after being a running back. I mean, not many people are able to switch positions that quick, that fast, and have a quick turnaround, have an efficient turnaround. I think what he's shown through these, few practices we've seen, he's not afraid to make the change, obviously. He's not necessarily not a quarterback. I feel like it would be a little too obvious if he wasn't ready for this moment, if he wasn't ready for this position. I think it makes sense. Obviously, you got the state record at the high school level in terms of total yards. He's got talent. That's not the question. The question is not can he throw, can he run, can he be a valuable asset to the offense. I feel like the question really is how do you blend and kind of get him to hit his potential, because I don't know if his potential is at that quarterback spot. I mean, we've talked about it a lot on the show. It could be DB. It could be a hybrid role. I know that the vision for him at quarterback is to put him and plug him into an offensive scheme where you can be creative and you can run and you can move him around. And if, like last year when the fans were worrying about Nussmeier not being as mobile, this is going to answer those questions. This is going to put you in a spot where your QB1 don't have to get banged up 2 to 3 times or even more a game, and you can throw out number 8 into this instance. I do think, though, he could potentially be better served in another role also, because if 13 goes down, 11's going right in. With what Michael Van Buren has shown me through the last 2 games, or 2 practices for that matter, he looks like the guy. He looks like the future. He looks like a reasonable choice for LSU to put all the chips in. Quite frankly, he looks so solid that I would really, really wonder what kind of decision Colin Hurley will make, because it looks like MVB is the guy in terms of experience. It looks like he's leading the room outside of guys like Garrett Nussmeier. And then he's got that skill package that they want, the mobility, all the fluidness. Here's Juwan right here. And I mean, people are being so critical in the throws on Wednesday. I don't really see the issue. I think he has zip. I think it is a good ball. But, I mean, everybody has their own opinions on throw motions. It's kind of why I like to put these in the videos, especially to open up. I mean, it's a good discussion starter, and a lot of people, it's a hot topic. Juwan Johnson and his throw motions have been really the talk of Twitter lately, and just the decision in general has been the talk of LSU football. Is it smart? Is it going to stick? How are they going to use them? And really, how is the future of LSU's quarterback room looking forward? The last positive I'll leave you with is you really haven't had a situation in a while where LSU had multiple quarterbacks that you could pick from over and over and over. In terms of having the best quarterback room through the last 2-3 years, I would hang your head on that. I mean, that's a pretty decent stat. You got Jaden Daniels, now you got Garrett Nussmeier. You potentially roll out another big dog. Obviously, years back, you had Joe Burrow. It's like LSU's really turning over a new leaf, at least in terms of quarterback production. Now, naturally, they're going to need the offensive line to work well. Naturally, they're going to need Brad Davis to go in there and create some schemes and get the best guys out there in that 5-man rotation. Right here, this is some physicality. This is a good matchup. This is what you want to see in the trenches. I'm not going to lie. You got everybody hyped. Carius Curran, Solomon Thomas going at it. Iron sharpens iron. You want to get the freshmen together. You want to get the young, inexperienced people together and have them cut their teeth on the same exact rep. This is Paul Mubenga and Braylon Moore. Now, number 61, Braylon Moore, he's a transfer from Virginia Tech. They're expecting him to play at center. As of right now, he's in the second rotation group for the offensive line at center. Right now, in the first offensive line rotation group at center, it is DJ Chester still. Brian Kelly told us, don't worry, don't hit the panic button. This isn't the finalized rotation. Matter of fact, it's far from it. In spring, you're really kind of just trying to see what you got and what you need to evolve and what you need to work on for the fall. The fall is going to be your final lap when every one of those rotations is pretty much finalized for the most part. Spring, complete opposite. I think you're feeling it out. People are potentially switching positions. People are feeling around. Right here, you got Weston Davis and Ethan Callaway. Look, I got high praise for Weston. I think he could be one of those tackles that fills in and is the next Will Campbell, is the next Emory Jones. Could be one of those younger players you throw into the fire early and kind of forge, if you will. And these type of reps, if you're Ethan, I mean, you don't hang your head low on that one. That's a rep where, quite frankly, you're going to learn from. You're going to get into a better situation because of iron sharpens iron as a legitimate process. This is Kyrie Lee and Braden Augustus going at it. Once again, I mean, number physicality here. They're getting after it. They're getting ugly. But I saved the best rep for last. We still got a banger on the way. We got a pancake coming. I ain't going to lie. Here's Big Solomon Thomas and Carius Kern again. This is going to be one of your most competitive matchups in the O-line room in terms of just the future. These guys are going to be going head to head over and over and over during their LSU football career. Not just sit back and enjoy this clip, because this got just about every single person hyped on that damn football field. Here we go. Physicality, brute force, boom. Big Solomon Thomas with the pancake block. Gets up, gets over him, gets everybody hyped. You see Bo Bordelon getting hyped with him right there. A little slap on the head from Weston Davis. Oh, Nuss Bus waiting to congratulate him. The future is bright for the offensive line room. If you had to pick a spot where you were a little worried about the transition and you were a little worried about trying to keep that talent and the production the same, it was O-line. I do think, though, that they're going to be able to replace the 4 guys they lost out of the 5 in terms of the draft. I think they're going to replace them pretty well. I mean, in terms of rotations, the first group, Tyree Adams, Paul Mubenga, DJ Chester, Bo Bordelon, Weston Davis. The second group that we saw get thrown out today, Carius Kern, Solomon Thomas, Braylon Moore, Cohen Eccles, Ethan Callaway. Like I said, not finalized, not going to be what is out there on Clemson, potentially. I mean, it could be, but as of right now, this is a work in progress. This is your rough draft, so to speak, of LSU's football offensive line. But, I mean, what better situation to be in than having not necessarily too many names, but a lot of names to choose from. A lot of people are just stuck with the 5 that they get out there. LSU's in a situation where they're having fun. Obviously, you see Kyle Parker getting in, getting after. The chemistry's building. Everybody is on the same page. Everybody's kind of locked in. It's a different vibe this spring than it's been the last couple of springs that I've been, in attendance to. Even Michael Van Buren and Barry Brown getting in on the action. I mean, they're newcomers building in, getting the camaraderie going. This is what you want to see from the team. Here's the scrimmage. Here's what everybody wants to see. How do they look against air? As of right now, your rotations for the wide receivers will be Xavier Thomas, Aaron Anderson, Chris Hilton, Trudez Green, and then you got Caden Durham in the backfield with Garrett Nussmeier. I'm a little concerned from a height standpoint about this wide receiver rotation, and I'm also going to say that I'm imagining the wide receiver depth right here. That's not going to be the final, first group that is going to be rolled out there when you're in South Carolina playing Clemson in week 1. Similar to the offensive line situation, you want to pair people with others and see how they react, see if they're complementary, see if they have some type of issues where, hey, we might have to, put this guy here instead of right here, or whatever the case may be. Nick Anderson's really your biggest guy at 6'4", and we didn't even get to see much of him today. I don't know, if there's anything behind that, but I do think that's something that the wide receiver room will have to be real creative about, because you're going to have shorter, speedier guys, and I mean, you might be able to make something work. You might be able to, if you're Joe Sloan, have some tricks up your sleeve, but I do think Nick Anderson and Chris Hilton are going to have to step up and have a really big year, because those are your 2 biggest, deepest vertical threats. Your second rotation, you saw Destin Hill, Kyle Parker, Berrien Brown. Honestly, that's the same situation. Destin Hill's the tallest one out there. Kyle Parker and Berrien are similar heights. I don't know if you want to go with that small ball lineup all the way. You're going to have to get creative. Like I said, you're going to have to find a way to get everybody on the same page in this lineup on the offensive side of things. Because if you got a lot of smaller guys, I think it'll be an easy mismatch for the defense to be able to point out. I mean, look, if you can run the ball with guys like Caden Durham and Caleb Jackson and have a kind of efficient offensive production where they're going to have to not always just be able to drop back in coverage and just sit here and murk double teams and brackets and all this stuff, they might be able to have to, stay in the box and stay true and actually have a run defense, actually put some men up front, actually have some beef, because Caleb Jackson and Caden Durham are each grabbing 60 a game. If the running game can improve, which I feel like it was kind of a sore spot last year, at least in the beginning. If it can improve, then I think that the wide receiver issues, or not even issues, but the wide receiver height issues probably are going to be alleviated, because you're not going to have as much focus on that secondary. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Juwan Johnson. Everybody grab your popcorn. Everybody sit back and watch number 8. Him and Harlan Berry trying to figure out the motions, the movements, the placements pre-snap. You see Joe Sloan telling him, nah, leave it. That's where he's supposed to be. Snap that ball. It's a little handoff on the inside. I don't know how much you will see Harlan Berry this season. And I mean, he's obviously a really talented kid. He's going to get opportunities, but I just don't know how much they're going to mix him in with this running back room. Here's Javon Nicholas dropping a nice, easy, over-the-top catch, potentially. I'm a big fan of Javon, number 19. I feel like he's shown some growth from last spring. Last spring, he had some breakout moments, I do think. But, I mean, He does look like he's running cleaner routes. Obviously, that last catch wasn't ideal, but I do think he could be in a situation similar to Jelani Watkins where he sees a increased opportunity. I'll say the same thing for Kylan Billiot. There's going to be a time and place where the wide receiver depth and the bell, so to speak, has to be answered. There will be a situation where a next man up will be needed. And if you're 17, if you're 19, if you're 82, Kylan, Jelani, or Javen, you might have your number called. I mean, I know there's depth, and I know there's a lot of names across the board here, whether it be Barry, whether it be Aaron Anderson, Destin, Nick, Chris. I could keep going on and on and on. I'm just saying, though, we have seen a lot of instances where LSU has thrown some freshmen in the fire, and I feel like you're going to have to respond really quickly here if they give you that opportunity, because they're not just going to sit back and let you wait and watch. It's going to be kind of quick burst opportunity, I think. I do think there will be some wide receivers getting their shine on, though. Let's move on to the running back room. They're waiting on JT Lindsey. Like we were saying, kind of a sore spot from last season. You're obviously going to want to work on it, and I feel like that's going to be one of their biggest focuses this offseason. How do we creatively attack defenses? Yeah, Juwan Johnson will be a big piece because you're going to be able to have a huge mobile quarterback asset that not a lot of people are going to plan for. So that could make the running game situation a little easier on them. Obviously, Caden Durham will be your lead back. I think Caleb Jackson's going to be a great power piece. All in all, the creativity of this room, it's going to be focused around two things. Consistency of blocking, consistency of the O-line play, and, obviously health. That's going to be the biggest thing. Let's talk more about blocking. You're going to need the tight end room to find a pure dominant blocker. You lost a couple of pieces like Mac Markaway and Kamorian Pimpton, and everybody wants to know, how's Bear Sharp? How's Donovan Green? How are they responding to their new role? They might not even be the receiving tight end because Trudez Green is 6'7", damn near 7'11", catching 400 passes. Now you're going to have to pretty much block and release, touch and go, and get dirty and get ugly if you want to be on the other side of Trudez Green, because he's going to catch damn near any ball thrown at him. So for you to be able to get out there like a Bear Sharp, you're going to have to do a lot of blocking. And I think he will see the field. I think he will see opportunities to do this. But that's what LSU needs the most out of that tight end room. Let's talk safeties. We got our guy Justin Eccles right here, number 41. He was a cornerback. He's working with the safeties now. Just wondering about the safety depth, because when you see moves like that, you definitely are kind of, you got an eye out for it. Now, obviously, here's Toviano, number 25. He also switched from corner to safety. So now you're at two players, at least this offseason, that have made the transition, and I don't think you could be done. There's more names here in the cornerback room that are versatile, that are hybrid, that are able to kind of do both roles. I'm going to throw Mansour Delane's name in the hat as well, although he seems to be locked in that corner. We got some footage of him at the end as well. Toviano, I think, will get an opportunity. I think he almost had an opportunity last season, and obviously he had some issues, but he's showing that he's a team player. He's going to do any type of role that the coaches are expecting of him. He's going to do it pretty well because I think he's answered the bell and he's grown in terms of playing a safety. Obviously, he played in high school, and the transition from corner to safety isn't as drastic as Juwan's DB to quarterback, but still, he made a switch. He did it handily, and I think he'll see a lot of reps because of it this season. Here's Tamarcus Cooley. He played slot corner at NC State, obviously transferred to LSU this offseason, and they're going to try to throw him into that safety mix as well. Maybe a nickel, maybe some type of interesting sub spot, sub DB, but you never know what they are working on down here. Here's Joel Rogers. I'm interested in him as well. Redshirt freshman, going to have some eligibility left. Like, there's going to be a good balance of having to mix in the starters and the guys who are ready right now and preparing the future for who's going to be ready later when these guys leave, so you don't have to keep busting into the portal. They do look pretty solid. This was definitely my biggest red flag going into the season was the safety room. How are they going to respond? How are they going to handle all of this, attention, the departures, all of these different problems? And I think they could, they could answer the bell and polish this room off to be an improved version of what we saw last year. The linebacker room, I'm about to switch to that. That one's going to be a little more interesting. I think that in terms of linebackers, you obviously have talent, right? And when I say what I'm about to say, I'm not trying to undermine any bit of talent that you have. You obviously have Harold Perkins, you obviously have Whit Weeks, and you got other talented players. But as of right now, in terms of that Mike position and in terms of just overall health, you don't have them out there. Whit Weeks and Harold Perkins will not practice this entire spring period. So you know what that means? Devon Keys, Wes Weeks, Tylen Singleton. Your name is getting called. You get an opportunity. Now the depth gets to get shown, and everybody gets to cut their teeth together. Obviously, Keelan Moses and Zach Weeks are going to come in. They're not enrolled yet. They're going to be some more late additions into the fall camp portion. I do think, though, that Blake Baker, being the defensive coordinator, being their position coach, being next to them in that room, helping them, fine-tune some of these skills, it's going to grow this room leaps and bounds. When I say I'm worried, it's not necessarily this room might be horrible. It's the Mike linebacker's depth spot might be a little bit of an issue. G Sports talked about it with us on some of our shows. You don't want to throw a younger cat into that role if you don't have to. Devon Keys is going to be a great player. I think he is. I think he's working into his role perfectly. I mean, shit, you can't catch a pick six if you're not balling. But I do think there is value in having experience in a position where you're going to have a headset and you're going to be the quarterback of the defense. The Mike linebacker helps put everybody in position. And I'm not saying that he is not capable of that. I'm just saying that you want to be ready if the opportunity arises to run to a college football playoff, get a national championship, be the top team in the SEC. And I don't know if you do that through throwing inexperienced people out there. He obviously could grow. He obviously can develop. And, you never really know what you got until you throw him out there. But it'll be interesting to see this develop. We'll wrap this up with the cornerback room. I told you I got some Mansour Delane footage, and I wasn't lying to you. We tried to track him down and find him. We couldn't get him on Wednesday. We got him for you today. I love this drill that they do. They got the towel around the neck, holding the towel with their hands. Can't use any hands during the back pedal. They're just 100% relying on footwork and speed. If you can't touch, if you can't grab, if you can't hold, quite frankly, you can't cheat. It's just straight you versus him. And P.J. Woodland, another one of those corners that I think showed me a lot. Michael Turner Jr., another one of those corners I think that's going to have a big role, big change, and a big impact for LSU football this season. Look, I'm not going to lie. I'm feeling good with what I'm seeing from practice. We'll be back at practice tomorrow. Stay tuned. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. At about 12 o'clock noon tomorrow, we'll have our videos up. Highlights, breakdown, the whole 9 yards. Please hit that like button. Drop a comment on what you think LSU's record could be in 2025. Let's get a little premature with the predictions here. This has been the Verdin Verdict. I'm your host, Jacob Verdin. Y'all have a great weekend.